Are you looking for a nice, sweet location to put your Electro? Maybe you've got a handful of really big cards and you want somewhere to be able to play them. I probably can't help you very much with that today. However, if you are a SeraSurfer player, you might very well be in luck because this week's Marvel Snap featured location is Morag. Morag is a brand new location for Marvel Snap's The Power Cosmic season, now added to the location pool, and for the next 48 hours it will show up 40% more frequently in your games during this feature period. Morag simply says you cannot play your first card here each turn. Let's take a look at some of the best strategies, cards, and decks for Morag. So first of all, from a lore perspective, what is Morag? Morag is actually the resting place of the Power Stone, an entire planet submerged in water that only recedes every 300 years, which conveniently was exactly the right time for Star-Lord to retrieve the stone in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's a very interesting location, but potentially extremely limiting over the next 48 hours. The reason this location is potentially so limiting is the lack of effective counterplay into the location. Scarlet Witch and Storm, who we often see go up in play when new locations hit, are rather ineffective as you need to play another card before them to actually get them into that location. The current metagame is focused on a lot of one card per turn plays that will have some difficulty into Morag. This may open up room for return of some of those lower curve decks and cards like Sera that are going to have extra value in helping you play more of your cards on turn 6. Building for this location, we can either play multiple cards a turn to get into the location, or we can ignore the effect and get into the location in other ways, such as Doctor Doom or Vision. There's a deck, however, that is very strong, which is creating massive final turns already, and is going to be very good at pushing power into Morag, Sera negative. This location may also make countering that quite hard, but one other popular card here may show up quite a lot during this location, and that is Leader. If you can't do all the hard work of getting into the location, try to copy your opponent's homework. If you're looking for budget options, Kazoo might very well be the way to go with this location. Let's take a look at some decks for you today. Cards and deck ideas here are very much built with Series 4 and Series 5 cards. When they are not a feature card, we'll include a note to let you know what you can consider swapping in. However, if you are just joining us in Marvel Snap, don't panic. There will be a Pool 1 and Pool 2 deck for you in this deck chunk as well. If you are a Pool 1 player, we would probably start by playing this version of Kazoo. This week, the Series 1 and Series 2 deck kind of double as the basis for what you should be considering the budget option for this location. If you're still firmly in Series 1, this is the version for you. You have no need for armor just yet, so we can use those spots more effectively with Elektra, Squirrel Girl. She can put in work here as well to put cards into Morag if you're stuck. But we'd also like to note that Blade might be worthwhile here just for raw stats alone when a location is quite hard to enter. If you're entering Pool 2 or playing in Pool 2, however, there is another version of Kazoo we would recommend for you. As Killmonger starts showing up, including armor is going to be almost required. Sunspot is good, as you may be wasting energy holding cards to get them into Morag. You may also need to skip turns to buff Sunspot later in games to win locations. Remember, America Chavez is not here to be played very often, she simply makes the deck more consistent. If you want more information about that, we have an article about calculating card draw probabilities available for you on Marvel Snap Zone and down in the description box down below. However, if you are one of our many Series 3, 4, and 5 players, there are a number of options you can consider for this location. The first one, as previously mentioned here, is Negative Surfer. It is, of course, the master of turn 6 multi-turn plays. Morag will allow you to abuse this fact, as you hopefully will be able to play 3 to 4 cards in it on turn 6, combo into Morag while pushing power in other lanes. Bast here, of course, the Series 5 card that really elevates this deck, but if you are missing it, you can probably replace it with something like Angela or Bishop and still have a valid choice for the location. If you're more of a green leader fanboy, this is probably the deck coming up for you now. Follow the leader, aptly named By SafetyBlade here. Leader decks are going to be very popular regardless of what you think of the card right now. This is because it allows you to try and equalize the final turn and take advantage of your priority lead. This deck doesn't necessarily want priority, but it can use Electro to play an early leader, and then double that up on turn 5 and 6 with Odin. Vision and Aero should be great turn 5s without any ramp for this location. Odin on Aero is also a crippling combo for many decks, especially if they were trying to make a final turn play to get cards into Morag. Ebony Maw might be a card that we drop as the metagame develops, however. The idea here is going to be to use it with cards like Armor or Sunspot to get into Morag early, and then use Vision or Doom to add power later. If you can get Ebony Maw or Sunspot into Morag, they may be enough to carry the location all by themselves against other decks. Something a little bit more fun if you have access to lots of Series 4 and 5 cards. Deck here called Morag Buff. This deck is very reliant on Shuri, but we could definitely see building a version without her if this particularly interested you. The plan here is to Shuri into Vision or Aero, copy that with Taskmaster on turn 6. Hitting Vision if is the premium here, as it allows the power to be moved around to wherever you need it. The early game should be focused on getting some cards into the location or stacking up other lanes. Zero and Titania can be swapped out here for other packages if you're not a fan or simply don't have access to Titania, and a card like Leader could also be a consideration here if you really want to tech yourself for that location. What do we think you should play in a perfect world? However, it's hard to not just recommend Negative Surfer. With the season coming to a close soon, Mr. Negative feels like he's the correct choice for these next few days. Leech play has declined, and the ability to still play for turn 6 and use this location to your advantage make this deck highly recommended by myself. Okay, let's see what we can do with this one, all things said and done. Project Pegasus is a pretty reasonable start for a negative shell. Hand doesn't actually capitalize on it all that well, unfortunately. I think I just kind of want to run out this Iron Man into Mystique and just have them set up on locations ready to go. It does leave them a little open and fragile to interaction, Enchantress, Rogue, that kind of thing. Okay, but I had a pretty good one too. But I'm pretty happy with it otherwise. So not playing a 2 here is the plan, so I can make a second copy. We do indeed have our Morag. Okay, so second copy now, unfortunately, going to have to go into Project Pegasus, otherwise we do not get to play it, courtesy of Morag being, you know, what it is. Of Asgard. Opponent with the Thor. Okay, don't know an awful lot about what the opponent is doing currently. Are we going to negative here? I don't mind negativing here. It's a little awkward into the Iron Man lanes, but I think it's mostly okay. Opponent will Jubiles. The reason we're putting it into Mojo World is obviously because the body matters, even though it does take away some of our stats in that location. Having bodies there is pretty good. Speaking of pretty good, it's pretty good. Forge into Brood over in Morag. Probably the way to go. Opponent will indeed jack up the hammer. Brings up a Wasp. That's pretty good for us. Not going to complain. Jane Foster drawing the hammer again, though, means Project Pegasus might be a little bit hard to fight for here, which is a concern. We draw Rogue. Is Rogue any good? So I definitely have to play mid. The question is if I like Fantastic or Rogue. Rogue is worth more stats, but in less places. I think we're supposed to do this. Yeah. Opponent does play into Morag, which is kind of something I was hoping not to see, honestly. Assumed we had this thing tied up. Opponent will arrow. Thankfully we filled up Mojo World then, I suppose. Yeah, got punished for our infidelity over in Morag. Assumed that we were going to be fine with just the broods over there. Unfortunate. Let's see if we can't show you exactly what this one is all about. Okay, this hand is reasonable enough. Should we play pretty well into Morag 2 if we can leave Forge until turn 5? Ooh, okay, so now I kind of don't want to because I drew the Brood on curve. Okay, this is fine. We'll just set up Forge into Brood. And we're going to Brood into Lecuguela because, quite frankly, we would really rather not put that many rocks in our deck. That is very unfortunate. Oh, well, okay. Alright. Well, both players lost their Surfer, so I guess we can live with that. Okay, Sera might shine here in showing us the goal of playing this deck into Morag. Fingers crossed. I'm only like not so mad because we both lost our Surfer. Gives it a bit more of an equal playing field. But chucking rocks everywhere. Thankfully, Brood's still filling out Lecuguela. There's a lot of rocks over here right now, though. So we have to... So I think what we're going to do actually is pass here. And hold things post Sera. I think so. Because then we can get them into Morag. That is the plan, at least. Okay, so Sera into Sakar. And then all things considered, we play one card into Sakar and then play into Morag. And we should be A-okay. But it goes Wasp into Blue Marvel. Okay. Interesting Surfer deck they got going on there. I'm assuming this is Patriot. So I actually want to steal that Blue Marvel, huh? So now I guess I have to Fantastic off to the left to do that. And then we get multiple marvels. Let's do that. Let's do that. Definitely one of those games in hindsight you go, should I have snapped there? Obviously, opponent can still like Patriot, Mystique. They actually have reveal priority here, so they will get another Blue Marvel of their own first. The Brood doesn't matter. That's fine. Alright, yoinkity yoink. That was a good one. That's a really sweet game. Shows you the power of Morag very, very well there, I think. Remember, of course, at the time of writing, these starter decks are untested. These are theorycraft ideas to get you going, and we look forward to seeing what everyone else comes up with for abusing Morag. If you've got any ideas of your own, make sure to leave a comment in the comments section down below for me. Share your ideas in our deck builder over on Marvel Snap Zone, or discuss with the community in our 1,000-strong Discord server, which you can find the link for in the description box. If you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to the channel here at Marvel Snap Zone. We're still putting out content each and every day, both here and on the website, to hopefully fit all of your Marvel Snap needs. If you have any suggestions or improvements, please feel free to let us know in the comments section down below, or you can find me directly over on Twitter at HowlingMines or Marvel Snap Zone. But until next time, I have been HowlingMines, you have been amazing, and this has been Marvel Snap Zone. Take care, have a good one.